Hey guys, happy Tuesday! I hope you've had a great day so far. I know this video is coming to you guys so late, but better late than never. I'm really excited to read these next couple chapters to you today. So yesterday we read that Augie went off to camp, which is really exciting. He was really nervous about it, but so far so good, so we're going to keep reading today. This is called The Fairgrounds. Sorry. Okay. The next day was just as great as the first. We went horseback riding in the morning, and in the afternoon we rappelled up some ginormous trees with the help of the nature guides. By the time we got back to the cabins for our dinner, we were already tired again. After dinner, they told us we had about an hour to rest, and then we were going to take a 15-minute bus ride to the fairgrounds for an outdoor movie night. I hadn't had the chance to write a letter to Mom and Dad and Via yet, so I wrote one telling them all about the stuff we did that day and the day before. I pictured myself reading it to them out loud when I got back, since there was no way the letter would get home before I did. When we got to the fairgrounds, the sun was just starting to set. It was about 7:30. The shadows were really long on the grass, and the clouds were pink and orange. It looked like someone had taken the sidewalk chalk and smudged the colors across the sky with their fingers. It's not that I haven't seen nice sunsets before in the city, because I have slivers of sunsets between buildings, but I wasn't used to seeing so much sky in every direction. Out here in the fairgrounds, I could understand why ancient people used to think the world was flat and the sky was a dome that closed in on top of it. That's why it looked like the fairgrounds in the middle of this huge open field. Because we were the first school to arrive, we got to run around the field all we wanted until the teachers told us it was time to lay out our sleeping bags on the ground and get good viewing seats. We unzipped our bags and laid them down like picnic blankets on the grass in front of the giant movie screen in the middle of the field. Then we went to the row of food trucks parked at the edge of the field to load up on snacks and sodas and stuff like that. There were concessions there too, like a farmer's market selling roasted peanuts and cotton candy, and up a little further was a short row of carnival-type stalls, the kind where you can win a stuffed animal if you throw a baseball into a basket. Jack and I tried both, and failed to win anything, but we heard Amos win a yellow hippo. From the food trucks, you could see the corn stalks in back of the movie screen. They covered about 1/3 of the entire field. The rest of the field was completely surrounded by woods. As the sun sank lower in the sky, the tall trees at the entrance to the woods looked dark blue. By the time the other school buses pulled into the parking lots, we were back in our spots on the sleeping bags, right smack dab in front of the screen. The best seats in the whole field. Everyone was passing around snacks and having a great time. Me and Jack and Summer and Reed and Maya played Pictionary. We could hear the sounds of the other schools arriving, the loud laughing and talking of kids coming out of the field on both sides of us, but we really couldn't see them. Though the sky was still light, the sun had gone down completely, and everything on the ground had turned deep purple. The clouds were shadows now. We had trouble even seeing the Pictionary cards in front of us. Just then, without any announcement, all the lights at the ends of the field went off at once. They were like big, bright stadium lights. I thought of that scene in Close Encounters when the alien ship lands and they're playing that music. Da-da, da-dun, dun. Everyone in the field started applauding and cheering like something great had just happened. So this next chapter is called Be Kind to Nature. An announcement came over the huge speakers next to the stadium lights. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 23rd annual Big Movie Night at the Broarwood Nature Reserve. Welcome teachers and students, MS 342, the William Heath School. A big cheer went up on the left side of the field. Welcome teachers and students from Glover Academy. Another cheer went up, this time from the right side of the field, and welcome teachers and students from Beecher Prep. Our whole group cheered as loudly as we could. We're thrilled to have you as our guests here tonight, and we're thrilled that the weather is cooperating. In fact, can you believe what a beautiful night this is? Again, everyone whooped and hollered. So as we prepare the movie, we do ask that you take a few minutes to listen to this important announcement. The Broarwood Nature Reserve, as you know, is dedicated to preserving our natural resources and the environment. We ask that you leave no litter behind. Clean up after yourselves, be kind to nature, and it will be kind to you. We ask that you keep in mind as you walk around the grounds. Do not venture beyond the orange cones at the edge of the fairgrounds. Do not go into the cornfields or the woods. Please keep the free roaming to a minimum. If you don't feel like watching the movie, your fellow students may feel otherwise, so please be courteous. No talking, no playing music, no running around. The restrooms are located on the other side of the concession stands. After the movie is over, it will be quite dark, so we ask that you all stay with your schools as you make your way back to your buses. Teachers, there's usually one lost party on the big movie night at Broarwood. Don't let it happen to you. Tonight's movie presentation will be The Sound of Music. I immediately started clapping, even though I'd seen it a few times before, because it was Via's favorite movie of all time. But I was surprised that a whole bunch of kids, not from Beecher, booed and hissed and laughed. Someone from the right side of the field even threw a soda can at the screen, which seemed to surprise Mr. Tushman. I saw him stand up and look in the direction of the can thrower, but I knew he couldn't see anything in the dark. The movie started playing right away. The stadium lights dimmed. Maria the nun was standing at the top of the mountain twirling around and around. It had gotten chilly all of a sudden, so I put on my yellow hoodie and adjusted the volume on my hearing aids and leaned back against my backpack and started watching. One of the songs in The Sound of Music starts off with "The Hills Are Alive" with The Sound of Music. I'm not going to sing it for you guys. But this next chapter we're going to read is called "The Woods Are Alive," and it's kind of a play off of that song from Sound of Music. So just wanted to give you guys that little background. Somewhere around the boring part where the guy named Rolf and the oldest daughter is singing "You Are 16 Going on 17," again, I'm not going to sing it for you guys, Jack nudged me. "Dude, I've got to pee," he said. We both got up and hopscotched over the kids who were sitting or lying down on the sleeping bags. Summer waved as we passed, and I waved back. There were lots of kids from the other school walking around by the food trucks, playing the carnival games, or just hanging out. Of course, there was a huge line for the bathroom. "Forget this. I'll just find a tree," said Jack. "That's gross, Jack. Let's just wait," I answered. But he headed off to the row of trees at the edge of the field, which was past the orange cones that were specifically told not to go past. And of course I followed him. And of course we didn't have our flashlights because we forgot to bring them. It was so dark now we literally couldn't see 10 steps ahead of us as we walked towards the woods. Luckily, the movie gave off some light, so when we saw a flashlight coming toward us out of the woods, we knew immediately that it was Henry, Miles, and Amos. I guess they hadn't wanted to wait in line to use the bathrooms either. Miles and Henry were still not talking to Jack, but Amos had let go of the war a while ago, and he nodded hello to us as they passed by. "Be careful of the bears," shouted Henry, and he and Miles laughed as they walked away. Amos shook his head at us like, "Don't pay attention to them." Jack and I walked a little farther until we were just inside the woods. Then Jack hunted around for the perfect tree and finally did what he needed to do, though it felt like it took forever. The woods were loud with strange sounds and chirps and croaks, like a wall of noise coming from out of the trees. Then we started hearing loud snaps not far from us, almost like cap gun pops that definitely weren't insect noises. And far away, like in another world, we could hear raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, which is another song from Sound of the Music that I will not sing. "Ah, that's much better," said Jack. "Now I have to pee," I said, which I did on the nearest tree. No way I was going farther in like Jack. "Do you smell that? Like firecrackers," he said, coming over to me. "Oh, yeah, that's what that is," I answered. "Weird. Let's go." So this next chapter is called Alien. We headed back the way we came in the direction of the giant screen. That's when we walked straight into a group of kids we didn't know. They'd just come out of the woods, doing stuff I'm sure they didn't want their teachers to know about. I could smell the smoke now, the smell of firecrackers. They pointed a flashlight at us. There were 6 of them, 4 boys and 2 girls. They looked like they were in 7th grade. "What school are you from?" one of the boys called out. "Beecher Prep," Jack started to answer when all of a sudden one of the girls started screaming. "Oh my gosh!" she shrieked, holding her hands over her eyes like she was crying. I figured maybe a huge bug had flown into her face or something. "No way!" one of the boys cried out as he started flicking his hands in the air like he just touched something hot. And then he covered his mouth. "No way! No way!" All of them started half laughing and covering their eyes now, pushing each other and cursing loudly. "What is that?" said the kid who was pointing the flashlight at us. And it was only then that I realized that the flashlight was pointed right at my face, and what they were talking and screaming about was me. "Let's get out of here," Jack said to me quietly, and he pulled me by my sweatshirt sleeve and started walking away from them. Wait, yelled the guy with the flashlight, cutting us off. He pointed the flashlight right at my face, and now he was only about 5 feet away. "Oh, man," he said, shaking his head, his mouth wide open. "What happened to your face?" "Stop, Eddie," said one of the girls. "I didn't know we were watching Lord of the Rings tonight," he said. "Look, guys, it's Gollum." This made his friends laugh hysterically. Again, we tried to walk away from them, and again the kid named Eddie cuts us off. He was at least a head taller than Jack, who was about a head taller than me, so this guy looked huge to me. "No, man, it's an elephant." It doesn't say elephant. I don't know why I said elephant. It says alien. I wish I could read. I'm gonna try that again. Ready? "No, man, it's an alien," said one of the other kids. No, it's an orc," laughed Eddie, pointing at the flashlight in my face. This time he was right in front of us. "Leave him alone, okay?" said Jack, pushing the hand holding the flashlight away. "Make me," answered Eddie, pointing the flashlight in Jack's face now. "What's your problem, dude?" said Jack. "Your friend is my problem." "Jack, let's just go," I said, pulling him by the arm. "Oh my gosh, it talks!" screamed Eddie, shining the flashlight in my face again. Then one of the other guys threw a firecracker on our feet. Jack tried to push past Eddie, but Eddie shoved his hands into Jack's shoulders and pushed him harder, which made Jack fall backwards. "Eddie!" screamed one of the girls. "Look," I said, stepping in front of Jack and holding my hands up like an air traffic cop. "We're a lot smaller than you guys." "Are you talking to me, Freddy Krueger?" "I don't think you want to mess with me," said Eddie. And this was the point where I knew I should run away as fast as I could, but Jack was still on the ground and I wasn't about to leave him. "Yo, dude," said a new voice behind him. "What's up, man?" Eddie spun around and pointed his flashlight toward the voice. For a second, I couldn't believe who it was. "Leave them alone, dude," said Amos, with Miles and Henry right behind him. "Says who?" said one of the guys with Eddie. "Just leave them alone, dude," Amos repeated calmly. "Are you a freak too?" said Eddie. "They're all a bunch of freaks," said one of his friends. Amos didn't answer them, but looked at us. "Come on, guys, let's go. Mr. Tushman's waiting for us." I knew that was a lie, but I helped Jack get up, and we started walking over to Amos. Then, out of the blue, the Eddie guy grabbed my hood as I passed by him, yanking it really hard so I was pulled backward and fell flat on my back. It was a hard fall, and I hurt my elbow pretty bad on a rock. I couldn't really see what happened afterwards, except that Amos rammed into the Eddie guy like a monster truck, and they both fell down to the ground next to me. Everything got really crazy after that. Someone pulled me up by my sleeve and yelled, "Run!" And someone else screamed, "Get him!" At the same time, and for a few seconds, I actually had 2 people pulling the sleeves of my sweatshirt in opposite directions. I heard both of them yelling until my sweatshirt ripped, and the first guy yanked me by my arm and started pulling me behind him as we ran, which I did as fast as I could. I could hear footsteps just behind us, chasing us, and the voices shouting and girls screaming, but it was so dark I didn't know whose voices they were, only that everything felt like we were underwater. We were running like crazy, and it was pitch dark, and whenever I started to slow down, the guy pulling me by my arm would yell, "Don't stop." So this next chapter is called Voices in the Dark. Finally, after what seemed like forever of running, someone yelled, "I think we lost them." "Amos?" "I'm right here," said Amos's voice a few feet behind us. "We can't stop," Miles yelled from further up. "Jack?" I yelled. "Whoa," said Jack. "I'm here. I can't see a thing." "Are you sure we lost them?" Henry asked, letting go of my arm. That's when I realized he'd been the one who was pulling me as we ran. "Yeah, shh, let's listen." We all got super quiet, listening for footsteps in the dark. All we could hear were the crickets and frogs and our own crazy panting. We were out of breath, stomachs hurting, bodies bent over our knees. "We lost them," said Henry. "Whoa, that was intense. What happened to the flashlight?" "I dropped it." "How did you guys know?" said Jack. "We saw them before. They looked like jerks." "You just ran into him," I said to Amos. "I know, right?" laughed Amos. "He didn't even see it coming," said Miles. He was like, "Are you a freak too?" And you were like, "Bam!" said Jack. "Bam!" throwing a big punch in the air. But after I tackled him, I was like, "Run, Amos, he's 10 times bigger than you," and I got up and started running as fast as I could. We all started laughing. I grabbed Augie and I was like, "Run," said Henry. I didn't even know it was you pulling me," I answered. That was wild. Totally wild. "Your lip is bleeding, dude." "I got in a couple good punches," answered Amos, wiping his lip. I think they were 7th graders. They were huge. "Losers," Henry shouted really loudly, but we all shushed him. We listened for a second to make sure no one had heard him. "Where are we?" asked Amos. "I can't even see the screen." "I think we're in the cornfields," answered Henry. "Duh, we're in the cornfields," said Miles, pushing a cornstalk at Henry. "Okay, I know exactly where we are," said Amos. "We have to go back in this direction. That'll take us to the other side of the fields." "Yo, Jack." Or "Yo, dude," said Jack, hand high in the air. "That was really cool of you guys to come back for us." "Really cool. Thanks." "No problem," answered Amos, high-fiving Jack, and then Miles and Henry high-fived him too. "Yeah, dudes, thanks," I said, holding my palm up like Jack just had, though I wasn't sure if they'd give me a high-five too. Amos looked at me and nodded. "It was cool how you stood your ground, little dude," he said, high-fiving me. "Yeah, Augie," said Miles, high-fiving me too. "You were like, we're littler than you guys." "I didn't know what else to say," I laughed. "Very cool," said Henry, and he high-fived me too. "Sorry I ripped your sweatshirt." I looked down and my sweatshirt was completely torn down the middle. One sleeve was ripped off and the other one was stretched out so it was hanging down to my knees. "Hey, your elbow's bleeding," said Jack. "Yeah," I shrugged. It was starting to hurt a lot. "You okay?" said Jack, seeing my face. I nodded. Suddenly, I felt like crying, and I was trying really hard not to do that. "Wait, your hearing aids are gone," said Jack. "What?" I yelled, touching my ears. The hearing aid band was definitely gone. That's why I felt like I was underwater. "Oh no," I said, and that's when I couldn't hold it in anymore. Everything that had just happened kind of hit me, and I couldn't help it. I started to cry, like big crying, what Mom would call the waterworks. I was so embarrassed I hid my face in my arm, but I couldn't stop the tears from coming. The guys were really nice to me, though. They patted me on the back. "You're okay, dude, it's okay," they said. "You're one brave little dude, you know that?" said Amos, putting his arm around my shoulder. And when I kept on crying, he put both his arms around me like my dad would have done and let me cry. This next chapter, which is going to probably be our last one for today, is called The Emperor's Guard. We backtracked through the grass for a good 10 minutes to see if we could find my hearing aids, but it was too dark to see anything. We literally had to hold on to each other's shirts and walk in a single file so we wouldn't trip over one another. It was little black ink that had poured all around us. "This is hopeless," said Henry. "They could be anywhere." "Maybe we can come back with a flashlight," answered Amos. "No, it's okay," I said. "Let's just go back." "Thanks, though." We walked back towards the cornfields and then cut through them until the back of the giant screen came into view. Since it was facing away from us, we didn't get any light from the screen at all until we walked around the edge of the woods again. That's when we finally started seeing a little light. There was no sign of 7th graders anywhere. "Where do you think they went?" said Jack. "Back to the food truck," said Amos. They were probably thinking we're going to report them." "Are we?" asked Henry. They looked at me. I shook my head. "Okay," said Amos, "but, little dude, don't walk around here like that alone, okay? If you need to go somewhere, tell us and we'll go with you." "Okay," I nodded. As we got closer to the screen, I could hear, high on a hill was a lonely goat herd, and I could smell the cotton candy from one of the concession stands near the food trucks. There were lots of kids milling around in this area, so I pulled what was left of my hoodie over my head and kept my face down, hands in my pockets, as we made our way through the crowd. It had been a long time since I'd been without my hearing aids, and it felt like I was miles under the earth. It felt like that song Miranda used to sing to me, "Ground control to Major Tom, your circuit head's dead. There's something wrong." I did notice as I walked that Amos had stayed right next to me, and Jack was close to me on the other side, and Miles was in front of us, and Henry was in back. They were surrounding me as we walked through the crowds of kids, like I had my own Emperor's Guard. That's all we're going to read for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed these chapters. We will continue on tomorrow. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I love you guys. I miss you guys.